What is your name, please?
My name is Del Miller.
What is your name, please?
My name is Del Miller.
What is your name, please?
My name is Del Miller.
Two of these people are imposters. Only one of them is the real Del Miller, and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. And here is our host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and welcome once again to our game of deliberate misrepresentation, wherein our panel endeavors to figure out which one of three challengers has sworn to tell the truth. To Tell the Truth is brought to you each week by Geritol, America's #1 tonic, the high-potency tonic that helps you feel stronger fast. And now let's meet our cross-examiners. What is your name, please?
My name is Polly Bergen.
My name is Ralph Bellamy.
My name is Kitty Carlisle.
And my name is Hy Gardner.
Now, these three gentlemen all claim to be Del Miller. Of course, only one is the real Del Miller. The other two have merely assumed that identity, and they do not have to stick to the truth. Now, panel, in front of you, you will find copies of an affidavit. Will you please follow along while I read the original? I, Del Miller, am an owner, trainer, driver of trotting horses. In 1948, I bought a horse for $21,000, and 2 years ago sold him for $500,000. So far, the purses I have won as an owner-driver, including my winning of the famous Hambletonian Stakes, have totaled over $4 million. Signed, Del Miller. Now, panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be Del Miller, harness racer. Only the real Del Miller is required to answer your questions truthfully. Each of you will question as usual until you hear this signal. And at the end of the questioning period, you will be required to cast your vote for the one who, in your opinion, is the real Del Miller. And let's start this questioning tonight with Ralph Bellamy. Ralph?
Well, number one, what very prominent Hollywood picture actor raises trotting horses and races them?
Picture actor?
Yeah. Number two, do you know?
No, I don't.
Number three, do you know?
There's a few, I think. James Cagney, I saw him in a picture once.
Mm-hmm. Number two, when was Saratoga built?
Saratoga? I don't remember the exact date. It was sometime after the war.
Number one, what is the highest stake at any harness racing track? At what track?
That's usually the Hambletonian, around $120,000.
Number three, what is the harness racing season at Hollywood Park this year?
This year, it's in the fall of the year.
Kitty Carlisle.
#1, when is the trotting horse at his peak?
You mean in peak and running condition?
Yes,
Well, they can run anywhere from 3 to about 13 years.
I see. #2, what biblical name is associated with trotting races?
I'm afraid I don't know, Miss Carter.
#3, do you know? What
No, ma'am.
biblical name, #1?
Biblical name? No, I don't.
Does Goshen mean nothing to you, #3?
Yes, I've heard of it.
What happens at Goshen?
Well, they used to have races in there.
Trotting races?
They used to have the Hambletonian there, I believe.
No more.
No, ma'am.
#2, does the driver of the rig have to make a specific weight?
No. The
Can be
driver in trotting races can weigh anything.
Does the rig have to have a specific weight?
No. Of course, it's advantageous to be as light as possible.
Hy Gardner.
Number 2, what famous sports commentator who's now retired originally broadcast the trotters right out of Roosevelt Raceway when it opened? Do you remember?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
Do you remember number 3? Clem McCarthy, I believe.
Number 3, who was Arthur Norden?
He's an owner of horses.
Know the name of one horse that he owns?
Had one called Yucca Puck once. Yucca-Puck, huh? Sounds like Murray Amsterdam. Number 1, what has a fellow named George Monahan got to do with your sport?
Well, he's the head here in New York State at Roosevelt.
Number 2, what is the most famous horse, most famous trotter of all time?
Well, I would say possibly Dan Patch.
Polly Bergen.
Number 1, who is considered one of the top drivers?
Right now,
Yes,
Billy Houghton is probably the biggest money winner over the last few years.
I see. Number 2, could you answer
Well,
that?
I'd agree with that, and there are others. Racer is, strangely enough, there is a driver named Racer who is...
I see. Number 3, could you tell me why do trotters cost more or less than racing horses, regular racing horses, on the average?
I believe they cost less. I noticed in the paper this past week up in Saratoga where the thoroughbreds brought a lot of money.
That's it. Time to vote, panel. So without consultation, will you mark your ballots? And in so doing, you will select number 1, number 2, or number 3. May I remind you that the team of challengers will receive $250 for each and every incorrect vote, which means, of course, if they fool the entire panel, they can divide as much as $1,000. All right, panel, have you marked your ballots? How about you, Polly? Now you have. For whom did you vote?
I voted for number 2. Actually, I know that, like in racing, men always go through all the statistics and work it out mathematically. But like most women, I love blue and white. I won a lot of races betting like that.
Ralph, for whom did you vote?
Number 3. Number 3 knew about Jim Cagney, who does have some racing horses, and he knew about the Hollywood harness racing season this year.
Kitty?
Number 3. I may be banking my choice on his knowledge of the Bible rather than trotting races. He knew about Goshen.
And how about you, High? Your
Also
vote?
number 3. Number 2 looks to me like somebody who once gave me a bum tip at Roosevelt Raceway. But number 3 knew who Arthur Norden was, a very famous owner. And also, I noticed when the 3 men were standing up there that the first 2 men had wedding bands. The third didn't. I know that horses and wives do not mix.
Well, there you are now. We have our votes listed and our reasons for them, and let's see how well you have matched up your wits with us. Let's find out which one of these gentlemen is the real harness racing driver.
I also like gold and yellow.
You do? Well, you stick with blue and white for now, and let's see what happens. Will the real Del Miller please stand up?
To be the only one wrong.
Well, you were the only one right, lad.
You were swayed by the colors, I'm afraid. Let's find out about the others now. Number 1, would you tell us who you really are and what you do?
I am John Krenslin, advertising director of the Fisherman magazine.
And number 2, how about you, sir?
I am William M. Arnheim, a ground school instructor for one of the country's major airlines.
Well, the panel was smart tonight. There was only one incorrect vote, so that means $250 from Geritol for you gentlemen to divide. Thank you very much for being with us. Hope you enjoyed it. Good night. Best of good luck to you.
What are those leather thongs on there?
The leather thongs, I'm sure I don't know. I'll ask a horse right after the show and see what I can find out for you. Now, may we have our next team of challengers, please?
What is your name, please?
My name is Ruth Owens.
What is your name, please?
My name is Ruth Owens.
What is your name, please?
My name is Ruth Owens.
Now, panel, will you follow along once again with your copies of this affidavit? I, Ruth Owens, am a forecaster for the United States Weather Bureau. I am stationed at a local airport. As part of my job, I brief airplane pilots on weather conditions. In this connection, I once briefed pilot Arthur Godfrey, signed Ruth Owens. Now, panel, these three ladies claim to be Ruth Owens, United States weather forecaster. Remember, only the real Ruth Owens is required to answer your questions truthfully. And let's begin our questioning this round with Polly Bergen. Polly?
Number one, what airport are you stationed at?
Norfolk.
Norfolk. Where does Arthur Godfrey fly out of?
New York, I believe.
Is that where his plane is kept?
I think so.
Number two, where do you think Arthur Godfrey's plane is kept?
I have no way of knowing. I would guess New York.
Number three?
I think his plane is kept at Teterboro Airport.
Number two, could you tell me what kind of plane does Arthur Godfrey fly?
DC-3.
A DC-3. Number one, could you tell me?
I don't know.
Number three?
I think it's a Bonanza.
I think you're Southern.
Ralph Bellamy.
Number three, we on the television get so many times a description of the weather in terms of a warm front and a cold front. Will you describe a warm front and a cold front and how it affects weather so that the rest of us may understand what you're talking about?
A warm front is a mass of warm air. A cold front is a mass of cold air.
Yes, we know. How does it affect the weather?
Well, actually, when a warm front and a cold front come together,
Look out.
you better watch out.
All right, number one, what's peculiar about the center of a hurricane?
It's absolutely calm.
Number two, we've had hurricanes Audrey and Bertha. What is the name of the third hurricane and where is it now?
As far as I know, it hasn't developed.
Number
the name
three.
will be Cora.
Kitty Carlisle.
Number three, this has been a year of drought. What, in your opinion, has caused this drought?
The lack of rain.
Number three, you shouldn't do that to me because we're both from the South. I come from New Orleans. Where do you forecast the weather?
From Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, I see. Number two, what would you say is the single most important factor in coordinating the weather? What information is the single most important factor that you receive?
The barometric pressure.
Pressure.
Yes.
Hi, Gardner.
Number one, you say you work out of the airport in Norfolk. What is the main street of Norfolk?
Granby.
Number two, who is the U.S. weather director on the East Coast for this entire area?
I would not know on the East Coast. I am from Texas.
Number three, would you know?
Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Osborne. Number one, would you know?
Yes. Mr. Osborne.
Uh-huh. Number three, you once briefed Godfrey. What were the conditions under which you briefed him?
Well, it was down at the airport in Charlotte, and I briefed him there.
Mm-hmm. Number two, is it true that all nations now, including Russia, contribute to whatever knowledge we may have on the weather?
They may do so, but I would not know in my area.
That's it. Time to vote once again, panel. And again, no consultation, please. Will you mark your ballots and select thereby number one, number two, or number three? Okay, how about it, panel? Have you marked your ballots? Polly's marking hers now. For whom did you vote, Polly?
I vote for number three in North Carolina and number two in Texas.
Now, your vote is number three, Polly, right?
Well, if you want to look at it that way.
I want to look at it that way.
Actually, I vote for number three first and number 2 second because I'm Southern, too.
All right. Ralph Bellamy, how about you?
Number 3. I counted myself off number 1. I think number 1 made a slip there on Mr. Osborne or whatever his name was, and I switched to number 3.
How about you, Kitty? You voted for?
Number 3, I believe about Teterboro.
You do?
Yeah.
Even with the southern accent?
Yeah.
How about you, High?
I voted for number 2. Godfrey does fly a DC-3, not a Bonanza. And furthermore, she looks like somebody who Godfrey would not fire.
All right, there we are. You've got our votes and our decisions and our reasons for them. Let's see which one of these 3 ladies is the real United States weather forecaster. Will the real Ruth Owens please stand up? All right, number 2, who are you and what do you really do?
I am Freda Carter from Rawls, Texas. I am a funeral director.
And number 3, how about you?
I'm Libby Scutch from Old Greenwich, and my husband does 2 for the money.
You did mighty well at your deception. As you probably know by now, there were no correct votes, all incorrect, which means you ladies divide a total of $1,000 from Geritol. Good night and the best of good luck. Now, in just 1 minute, 3 new challengers. But right now, a helpful message about Saratan from Dwight Weiss. Now let's have our next team of challengers, please.
What is your name, please?
My name is Frank E. Toscani.
What is your name, please?
My name is Frank E. Toscani.
What is your name, please?
My name is Frank E. Toscani.
Panel, will you follow along with your copies of this affidavit, please? I, Frank E. Toscani, am the sales manager of a moving van company. During World War II, I was the military governor of a small town in Italy. Author John Hersey wrote a best-selling book based on my experiences in Italy. The book became a successful Broadway play, a Hollywood motion picture, and a television drama. I am the Major Giapolo in the story of Belle Ferradano. Signed, Frank E. Toscani. All right, panel, these 3 gentlemen all claim to be Frank Toscani, the Mayor Giapolo of the book, A Belle Ferradano. Will each of you again question until you hear the signal? We'll start with High Gardner. High?
Number 3, who played your role in the movie version of A Belle
John
Ferradano?
Hodiak.
John Hodiak. Number 1, how much per hour does your moving van firm charge per man?
Well, that can't be established just like that. You have to have the tariff and the distance. It has to be figured out for each moving job.
Yeah, what part of the day isn't considered overtime?
That depends on the moving company.
Number 2, there's a plaque dedicated to you in the small town that you made famous. What is the inscription on it?
The inscription on a small plaque?
Yes.
I don't know of any plaque.
You don't know of any plaque. Number 2, do you remember a former lieutenant governor of New York State, and then became governor for a few weeks, Paletti?
Yes.
What did he do in Italy when you were there?
Well, he was the chief military government officer in Italy.
Number...
Holly Bergen.
Number 3, who played the role of Marguerite in the television version?
On the television version?
Yes.
Albagetti, her name was.
Number 1, who played the role of Marguerite in the picture version?
Gene Tierney.
Number 2, who played the role of Marguerite in the play version?
Margot.
I didn't even know there was a Marguerite in the play. I was trying to... I made it up, and you mean I hit the right name?
No, I thought you made a mistake in the name of the girl, and I presume the other people did, too. There is a girl in it.
Well, I know there's a girl in it.
She was the Belle Ferradano.
I had it all planned. 2 of them would say so-and-so, and the other one would say there is no Marguerite in the play. And they goofed it all up.
Ralph Bellamy, please.
Number one, who directed the play?
I don't remember. I know
Number
the
two, who directed the play?
Leland Hayward.
Number three, who directed the
Leland
play?
Hayward.
Directed it.
Yes.
And number one, who produced the play?
Leland Hayward produced it.
Number two, who produced the play?
Leland Hayward.
Number two, are you saying that Leland Hayward produced and directed it?
No, I'm sorry. Leland Hayward produced the play. I don't know who directed it.
Number three, does the name Henry Potter mean anything to you?
Henry who, sir?
Potter.
No, sir.
Does it to you, number one?
Yes, he directed it.
Number two?
Kitty Carlisle.
Number two.
All three of them are lying.
Number two. Do you know John Hersey personally?
Yes, I do.
How many children has he got?
Well, last I heard, he had...
Number one.
Well, that was
do you
before
know John
Potter
Hersey
directed it.
personally?
Yes.
How many children has he got?
Two, as far as I know.
Number three. It says here that you're a sales manager for a moving van company. What have you got to sell?
Moving.
But do you sell to people's furniture who don't pay or what?
What do you mean? What was that? I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you don't sell to people's furniture who don't pay you.
Well, no, we don't sell that furniture. They don't pay us. No, we don't.
No.
Hi, Gardner.
Number one, what is the name of your moving company?
United Van Lines.
The what?
United.
United Van Lines.
Yes.
One question. There's a storage firm right now, a big warehouse in New York that's being torn down. Very famous. You know the name of it?
No, I don't.
Do you know the name of number three? Well,
That's it. Time is up. It's time out to vote. So once again, will you mark your ballots, panel?
I agree with Polly.
I'm going to vote for Polly.
And vote for number one, number two, or number three. Okay, ballots marked. Polly, what have you got for us this time?
I voted for number one. I voted for number one because of all the confusion I've ever seen, he was the most. And I figured this might be because the other two were lying.
All right, Ralph Bellamy, you voted for...
Number one. Well, he did know about Hank Potter, finally, and
Finally.
he seemed a little bit more sure how many children Mr. Hersey has.
How about you, Kitty? You voted for...
Well, I voted for number two, but I agree with Polly. Mr. Hersey's got 4 children at this count. Number three didn't seem to know anything. And number two looked more like a Belle Ferragamo than number one.
All right, Hi Gardner, how about you?
Well, I also voted for number one reluctantly. I thought it was Polly, really. But I voted for number one because he's the only one of the three men who really moved me.
Well, you have our votes. Ignore our reasons, will you? And let's find out now which one of these gentlemen is the real Major Giappolo of a Belle Ferragamo. Will the real Frank E. Toscani please stand up?
Number three.
Thank you very much, sir. Number one, did you tell us who you really are and what you do?
My name is Joseph Rosapep, and I'm a public relations man with the firm of Burson Marsteller Associates of New York, Chicago, and Pittsburgh.
And number three, how about you?
My name is Walter Mosca, bartender, Sovereign Bar, Commuters Restaurant, Penn Station.
And my name is Charles Potter, and it looks like there were 3 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $750 from Geritol. Congratulations, gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed your visit. We enjoyed having you here. Good night and good luck to you. For tonight, except to say good night. So good night, panel.
Good night, Henry Potter.
Charles, I said, I thought at the time. In any event, this is Bud Collier saying good night for Geritol and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody. Transportation for To Tell the Truth is arranged by American Airlines. Guests afloat in New York aboard American's famous luxury flight, the DC-7 Mercury.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. In association with the CBS Television Network. Miss Bergens and Miss Carlisle sounds by Molly Parnell.